Hello everyone, this is Dr. Miles. So today's topic is why medications, technological advancements, and even natural approaches that you may try can start to not work anymore. So of course, part of this is just because as the body changes, sometimes it needs different things, right? Other times people may say, well, you're getting older and you need more of this or that. And sometimes that is a good reason, but it's not always a good reason because a lot of us have more control over how we age than you might think. So sometimes age is really just a matter of time and how your body is handling everything that you've let it have to deal with. So let's say if you're just in a very toxic environment, eating a lot of unhealthy foods, always having a lot of stress, the air pollution's bad, just all toxins just coming in all the time. Well, then your cup, essentially, of what you're able to deal with over time is filling. It's just filling more and more and more. So is that really age or is that really time? And so that's what I mean in terms of it's not per se just age, but it's also what's happening over time. And this cup that's filling has the ability to be reversed. You can start to empty some of this out and regain some of the things that you've had maybe a few years back. It's not that just because you're a certain age that's just the way it's going to be forever. There's a lot that can be done to help reverse various things that have happened and get you into a better state of health. So, but one thing to always keep in mind is that medications, herbs, nutrients, supplements, technological advancements are here to enhance a healthy lifestyle. So if something that you're trying works and then you keep living a life that's more kind of, as I mentioned before, just an overall unhealthy life, then over time you may notice that what worked before, let's just say you tried licorice root and that was helpful for your digestion and that was helpful for giving you more energy, right? But then you still keep maintaining that same lifestyle that's not conducive to the health. Well, then the licorice may not work as well. Or let's say you try probiotic for digestion and that works great, but then you just keep eating the same thing and you keep doing the same different habits, then the probiotic may not work as well. And I've done this, so that's how I know. And then I've also seen some of my clients come in the same way. So the other thing that could happen is that, okay, these things are working, now they're not working, now you need, or even if it's a medication, right? It could be a medication, you start off at a certain dose, and then after a while, the dose is not working anymore, then you need a higher dose or a more frequent dose. Or then you're like, okay, I need something even stronger than a medication, or I need something stronger than the herbs or the nutrients and so on and so forth. So then you start looking into something that's more invasive, like IV therapy or surgery or some other technological advancement. And these advancements are wonderful tools. But what can happen, of course, even then, okay, well, then that works. And then you start maybe disregarding what you did in the past is not as effective as you devalue the power that it does have, because you were kind of like, let's say this was the progress it was trying to make, and through the lifestyle you kind of just did this. So does that mean that this was not powerful? No, it just means that the body still wants your efforts as well. And so of course you may start to look at certain things that you did in the past as not as effective or outdated, and that's not necessarily the case if you know how to use them. So let's say though you do the more technological advancement and it works, right? What I have seen is that the body knows when some issue is not entirely resolved, right? So the IVs are going to be, let's say you do a nutrient IV, that's going to supply your body with a lot of nutrition, right? But at the same time, there's other parts of your lifestyle that have to change as well for the IVs to work. And so that's what I mean, is that their body is going to know if there are certain things that are not fully resolved, and it can have a way of telling you that. And I've seen that with my clients. So some of them have had issues with their period, really painful cramps. Their mood was all types of all over the place. And they got on birth control and things really calmed down. But several years later, some of these same things are still there. They may not be as severe, or they realize they can't stay on birth control anymore and they need something else that's going to be more effective because something about the birth control didn't work so well for them, right? But at the end of the day, those things that were problematic, some of those things can still be there even through the birth control, right? And so that's what I'm talking about, where there is a time where there can be these symptoms that still stick around even if they're not as bad, but they finally get to a point where they're lingering for so long, you're just like, I need something else. I need to do something else besides what I've been doing. Or other times, let's say it's a medication like a steroid, and it suppresses the immune system, right? And so that can help to reduce whatever symptoms that you had that a doctor would suggest a steroid for. But when you use a steroid, that suppresses the immune system, and the body knows that, and so it may start to manifest other types of symptoms. The way that naturopathic talks about steroids is that it can drive a disease state deeper. And so you may just have the disease go to another part of your body. So maybe something was on the skin, now it's in the lungs, right? It might be asthma, right? Or it may be something neurological. So it's not necessarily that just because something is suppressed that it's gone away. And so it's important to understand that if the body is still having an issue, it still may present itself to you in the form of that same symptom just lingering around, or as a new symptom. So all of that to say, the IVs, the different surgeries, as well as all the different technological advancements are great. But at the same time, and I also want to say that the small changes that are needed every day for you to be well and to stay well, these things, yes, sometimes they get hard to do. But if you make the choice to 100% of the time refuse to do those things, you're going to make it harder on yourself. And the different advancements that come in technology, these things are going to help you. But again, the amount of improvement that you could see could be much greater if you did your part as well. And I'm not saying that it has to be 100% perfect, but to go the complete opposite way and do nothing, that's not in your favor either. I still think it's best to have a lifestyle that is healthy, and then, of course, if you need extra help, that's when you get the extra help. So when people do it that way, for instance, the amount of medication that they're going to be on is going to be less, most likely. And if the medication is less, then there's less chance for side effects, right? It's not as high of a cost to you, right? So there's benefits to doing the parts that are important for you to live a healthy lifestyle, in addition to whatever supplemental things that you decide to do, whether that be medication, herbs, high-dose nutrients, IVs, other technological advancements, surgery, so on and so forth. Well, surgery is a little bit more permanent, right? But even with that, there's different. There could be a case where you could avoid surgery if you were doing the other things that mattered also on a day-to-day basis, right? But with that said, the main thing to say is that do the basics, because the basics will help to get you a better result. So naturopathic doctors, this is what we do. We combine traditional and newer methods of healing, and depending on what we do, if we're not combining, we're referring out to other professionals who do certain things that, even though we may not do it particularly, we know it's still indicated for our clients. So that's where I also refer quite a bit in addition to what I'm doing for you. But so let's talk about for people who, kind of going back to the day-to-day things and that being difficult, and you're not seeing necessarily the effects that you want from it, just because you notice that if you're not 100% perfect, that you still have the same problems. So again, it's more that you keep at least 80% of your life healthy instead of just completely tossing it out the window. If you can do 100%, that's great, because you're going to be in a better place. But if you can at least do about 80% of your life living a healthy lifestyle, that moderation is going to enhance the effects of good health for yourself. So a couple ways to do that. Some people, they'll eat completely clean during the week, and then on the weekends is where they'll have like a cheat day. So you can kind of decide when your cheat times will be, but then the rest of the time, you're saying, okay, this is how I'm going to eat. I'm going to drink this amount of water, right? The other things to think about is, why are you having trouble sticking to the day-to-day things? Some of that takes time to overcome. So for some people, it's temptation, it's peer pressure. This can come from friends, this can come from family. And so this is a time where you have to also set boundaries on that and realize that you don't have to eat what everybody else is eating. You can tell your friends or your family, your spouse. I've seen the spouse really be the one who tends to cause issues in terms of progress, because they want to eat a completely different diet that is not really that healthy at all. It's like they kind of refuse to be supportive in that way. And so I've had to have conversations with some of my clients and just say, hey, you have to get them on board, or at least say, hey, can you hide this from me? Can you not do all of this the way that you are, because I'm struggling and I'm trying to make progress in this area, and it would be really helpful if you are supportive in X, Y, and Z. And so that can make a huge difference, because you live with that person, right? We always hear about, who you surround yourself with matters. And if that's your spouse, particularly when it comes to a healthy lifestyle, you want to try to change things in such a way that you will be successful in a healthy lifestyle. So they can still, of course, they may still eat what they want, but at the same time, you can encourage them to take this journey with you, because more than likely they need it, and you probably know that already. I don't have to tell you that. So also working on not letting food be a coping mechanism for you, or not your only coping mechanism, because sometimes it's not about just completely fighting the old, but it's also about building the new. And so I'm not necessarily telling you to go cold turkey about not letting food be your coping mechanism if when you let that go, you are not okay. But you can start to build on the other things that could be better coping mechanisms, and hopefully over time that coping mechanism of food starts to go down. So a few ways of doing this, of course, would be music, making more friends. So sometimes food is a coping mechanism because you don't feel like anyone cares, or you don't feel support, or you don't feel happy in general, and food is the thing that makes you happy. But you have to find other things that can also make you happy that don't hurt your health. And so music can be one of those. Or if you don't have a lot of friends, of course, you may not realize just how much having friends can matter for your life. And you're letting food be your friend instead of people be your friends, or animals be your friends, right? And so sometimes it takes effort. It does take effort to create new coping mechanisms, but I encourage you to make that effort. So if that effort is making more friends, then do that. So another reason that maybe the small changes day to day are difficult is because you have older habits, right? And there's an element of learning how to let go of those habits. Letting go is not always the easiest thing to do. And you have to analyze why you can't let go. So sometimes people will say, oh, just cut it out, just stop. It's not always a just. And so leaning into all the different factors that keep you from letting go, that keep you from changing, you have to really dig in and look at them and speak them and, name them so that you can start to actually work on them. So a couple other things that you can do in addition to like the day-to-day changes, there's like you can also, of course, exercise. So exercise in addition to, for some people, they take it too far, like especially I think a lot of people in their 20s, it's like, yeah, I could just eat whatever I want and then I'll just go work it off. And I don't agree with that at all. Because I mean, we've all probably seen a few pro athletes who have gotten sick in the midst of playing professional sports with some major chronic illness. These people are working out all the time. So for me, I don't look at exercise as the solution that just cures everything and that just negates all of the other bad habits that you may have. Exercise is a part of a whole comprehensive set of strategies that can be helpful for your health. But to that end, at the same time, yes, you can still use exercise to somewhat mitigate other bad effects. It's just I don't want you to think it's like day and night where you can just eat whatever and exercise just counteracts all. No, it's just one thing that you can do to start to mitigate certain effects. So for instance, if you ate a lot of food, you overate, and you know that you're not digesting your food right, and it's just sitting there, well, then go take a walk. And then you'll start to notice that you might start belching, right? You might start to notice that things are actually starting to move now that you're moving. Intermittent fasting is another one. So some people have seen some great effects from not changing too much, but they've changed when they eat. So it will be more like an 8-hour window that they'll eat, and then they won't eat outside of that. Fasting is a beautiful way to cleanse your system, give it a break, let the body go deeper into detox every single day. So intermittent fasting can be great for that reason. People do it in different ways. So if you wanted to do it every single day, it could be like an 8-hour window of eating and then a 16-hour window of not eating. Some people will choose just one day a week to just not eat at all. And then the rest of the days, they just kind of eat like normal. So also saunas. So saunas is kind of going back to exercise a bit, but in the sense that saunas make you sweat, and they make you sweat more than you necessarily would if you were exercising. So when you sweat, you are letting off a lot of toxins through your sweat. So having something like that, in addition to the small daily habits that are good for your health, again, saunas can be helpful for enhancing how much you sweat. So some people, when they go to the gym, they'll go do their regular workout, and then after that, they'll go into the sauna and sweat more. So that's also a great way to do that. Just make sure you keep hydrating, of course. And then colonics. So I actually get a lot of calls for colonics, I guess, because I market the fact that I help people with hydrotherapy. So hydrotherapy means different things. So for me, it's more of the contrast of hot and cold therapies that I teach people how to do at home. But there's also colon hydrotherapy, and another name for that is colonics. So I don't do colonics, but I do a lot of other types of therapies. But nevertheless, colonics is something that can be a great cleanser for individuals with all different types of chronic conditions, but also just for overall health. It's a great and very quick way to get a lot of toxins out. And most people have a really nice feeling after they're done. Like they feel clean, they feel good. The mood might even be better as well. So these are just some other ways that you can enhance an imperfect day-to-day, but still an effortful day-to-day. So again, not just saying I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to do something. I'm going to put forth effort every day to make these day-to-day changes that are within my control. And then here are these other things that you can add on to it to enhance your health. All right, guys, that was the main thing I wanted to say today. This is how you can keep the different therapies that you do working longer. Again, as time goes on, your body may require different things, and that's okay. But I'm talking more about when you when you're trying to use natural medicine or medications, and then the lifestyle just keeps knocking down the efficacy. That's what I'm talking about. So this is how, when you have your day-to-day habits that keep you well, this is how you can keep whatever therapy you try. This is how you can keep it working for longer. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. My name is Dr. Miles. I provide provide natural solutions for prevention, IBS, and kidney disease, and more. So if you're interested in scheduling a telehealth appointment, reach out to me through drdevonmiles.com/appointments, and I would be glad to work with you. Have a great day.